my fellow readers. Today I'm going to do something slightly different, but not that different because I'm still talking about a review. But I wanted to talk about 2 books by Onisan Balmer. So they're 2 light novels. I Met You After the End of the World. This is just a volume 1. And See You When the Snow Falls, which is complete, I believe, in just this story. If there's a sudden volume 2, I'd be shocked because I don't know what it would cover. Anyway, I wanted to talk about these 2 because 1, they're by the same author, and 2, I wanted to sort of compare them a little bit. I don't know that much about Onisan Balmer, but I think these are printed, like published, written in English. I don't think they're translated at all. These are both through Amazon Publishing, so you can get either the Kindle version or you can order a copy of the book. So I ordered these from Amazon, and yeah, I wanted to see what they were like, so I did. Me personally, I liked the story of See You When the Snow Falls a lot better than this one, but I could see this having a great deal of appeal to people who like schoolgirls, I guess. I read this one first, and it was okay for me. It was like mid, 3-star ranking. You know, it was okay. It wasn't like I was gonna rave about it. I was drawn into it in the beginning. The events of this happen after a pandemic sweeps through and most of the population is killed. They die in various stages or whatever. So our main character, he thinks he's alone in Tokyo, I think. Like most everybody has died. Then one day he's out and comes across a schoolgirl. And he brings her back and they start cohabitating. Not in a pervy sort of way. They just are living together. They break into places and get supplies and whatever. And then I think, if I remember correctly, they decide to leave because the grid finally collapses. So they no longer have like air conditioning and electricity working, and the water gets hard. So they decide to try to venture out. I don't remember if they have a set location in mind, but they leave. And then it just follows their adventure and what happens beyond that. They do end up running into her old group, like where she came from. And apparently in that situation, there's a lot of like of the teens that are around her age that did not die, but they're also kind of feral. There's almost like Mad Max kind of vibes once it gets to that part. So in general, I liked the plot and pacing. I think that was fine. I didn't like the over attention, I guess, to her being a schoolgirl. It felt very much like a fetishization of a schoolgirl. And there was a lot like I didn't get why she would keep wearing her school uniform. Like they literally talk about breaking into other places and getting other supplies, and why would she want to keep wearing her school uniform? Because to be honest, they're not comfortable. So why would she be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep wearing this? Like, if you need to survive in a world where like everybody is dead and people are fighting over like generators and other things, why would you be set on wearing your school uniform? Like, you'd want something that is sturdier. And there was just an overemphasis on her like wearing the uniform and taking the uniform off and all these things, that it just became like, ugh, whatever. I mean, I'm not into that kind of thing. So it was just like, whatever. But, you know, a lot of the character interactions and things like that, I was fine with. I thought it was cute. But yeah, after I finished it, I was kind of like, well, I don't care if I ever pick up another volume. It was fine, but it wasn't that big of a deal. However, it was like the day I finished this, I got this one in the mail and forgot that I had ordered it, and also that it was by the same author. So I wasn't looking forward to this. I was like, no, it's going to be like the same kind of thing, and it's going to be a whole like schoolgirl thing in this. But no, this one I enjoyed a lot more. This turned out to be more of a kind of a mystery. It's it's a ghost story, but also a mystery story, where our main character goes to, I don't think it ever said what he did wrong, but he did something wrong and or displeased his parents somehow. Maybe it was just because they didn't think he was trying hard enough. I don't know. But he displeased his parents. So they sent him to the mountain countryside with his aunt. His aunt runs a resort in a snowy village, so like think like a ski resort town. And I don't remember if it's a full onsen that she owns or if it's just a little resort, but she owned an inn there. And so he has to go and work for her because his parents were displeased. So he spends his time working for his aunt and makes friends with his coworker, who's another high school student, and they work together. And while he's doing all that, he ends up meeting a girl in the woods who doesn't remember her name. All she knows is that she needs to try like every drink in the vending machine. And, you know, is she a spirit of the woods or just a plain ghost? And he starts to believe she's a ghost, and he starts seeking out what happened to her, like who is she and what happened to her, so that he can help her move on. And that's mainly the story. Like, there's the whole ghost story element, but there's things going on around her whole story. He ends up calling her Yuki, but you know, is that her real name? We don't know. But since he found her in the snow, he calls her Yuki. And anytime he starts to investigate what happened with her and in the woods, the newspaper he's trying to look into go missing, and just bad things start happening. And I think it's Yuki herself who tells him to stop, to go and live his life. And so he returns to his home, gets a girlfriend, thinks everything is moving on, but at the same time he can't quite forget Yuki and what's going on, so he wants to investigate further. He makes a plan to go to another nearby area, to that part that would have the newspapers, because they were gone from that village, so he goes to try to find them. And he brings his girlfriend and his friends and a couple other friends to the resort where his aunt is, but they find it boring there, because it would be. So they're disappointed and decide to go back. His girlfriend wants him to go back too, but he's like, no, I gotta do something. So she's not happy about that, but they leave. And he travels up to go find the newspapers, but on his way, he stops in with his former coworker, who is a girl, and they have a really good connection, and they go shopping together, and they have a good time, and then he goes to find the newspapers, and he also can't access them there. When he returns home, especially when he's got, like, new clothes, his girlfriend breaks up with him because she doesn't feel that he's devoted to her, and honestly, he's not. He's not really into it. His mind is still stuck on the ghost, but he also really likes his former coworker. So that's a whole thing. He does keep pursuing what happened to Yuki, even though other bad things start happening. And it's just trying to see if he can get that resolution about who was she and what did happen to her. And yeah, I liked that because it was much more like mystery based. This was just a fuller, better story for me personally. I think there's a lot of people that like this one, but I started to get too bothered by some of the stuff, and I feel like it could have been a stronger story. I get that it was intentionally trying to use the whole schoolgirl thing. It is a fetishization of the schoolgirl and the uniform. But I think the story would be stronger without that. Just saying. Whereas here, the story was stronger in general. Like, it was just a better story. So I would recommend the majority of people pick up this one, See You When the Snow Falls, because I think this was the strongest story. So if you want to try it, try this. But this one, I would only recommend... I don't say only, because again, I liked a lot of the elements of this. And just overall, I didn't find it as strong of a story as this one. So, you know, if you really are into schoolgirls and their uniforms, go ahead and read this. You might rank it higher than this one. I personally did not rank it higher. But it was interesting getting to see light novels from a different source. Again, I don't know Onisan Balmer's background, but I thought that was interesting in seeing light novel from a slightly different perspective. That is it for this video. Until next time, bye.